Hello everyone. Welcome back to the Kalopsia pod. I'm your host Sydney, and I'm thrilled that you guys clicked on today's episode. Whether you're watching or listening, I'm grateful for you. And this week I wanted to talk about intention. So, just a little update. You might be thinking, Sydney, why do you have so much energy? You are so energetic right now, or I don't know, I feel like I'm glowing from within. And I just wanted to shout out a little PSA, even though just last week's episode or the last few episodes have been all about sleep and focusing on prioritizing your sleep. I have been a slight hypocrite. Well, not a slight hypocrite. I have been prioritizing my sleep in recent times, but over the weekend, you guys, I had a burst of my teenagehood, mentality, and I went to bed at 4:45 in the morning for 2 nights in a row. Do you guys understand what that means? I lost it. I actually did lose it. Why, you might be asking? What could you possibly be doing? The first night, I cannot account for. I have no idea what I was doing. I think I watched the life list after I got home from hanging out with some friends, and then just proceeded to watch other random things online. That was a bad thing, but it was a Friday night. It was fine. Saturday night, another grievance, right, was that I again went to bed at 4:40. However, shout out on Netflix, The Residents. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And so I had one episode left after I completed the episode before that, right? And I just ended up going to bed actually horrifically, disgustingly late. And so I feel like it set me off on a bad foot for the Monday coming up. And guys, the worst thing happened as well. On Sunday night, I'm going to sleep and it's 2 a.m. Already too late. I completely lost my schedule, right? At 2:30, I have insomnia. Thank God, right? I realize I have work at 8 a.m. tomorrow, not 2:30 p.m. like I usually do. It was horrific. So I got 4 hours of sleep that night. Last night, 9 solid, beautiful, gorgeous nights of sleep. And you guys, I feel like a brand new person. I feel like a butterfly. And so just a little reminder, this is what it looks like when executed. Because the past few weeks have been struggling with a few different things in my personal life. And literally, I'm like, I lost all motivation. I lost my ambition. I was thinking, what's happening? Like, how can I fix this? How did I do it before? I don't understand. Like, how did I constantly have so much energy and drive? Because, the one thing that they say when you're trying to achieve something, start a new habit, whatever, you have to do it when you're down. You have to do it when you're up. You have to do it when you have energy. You have to do it when you don't have energy. And I know that, I know that concretely. But it was sleep. You guys, we have to sleep. We have to prioritize our sleep. And if you're a woman or someone with ovaries, you need at least 9 hours of sleep. That's the word on the street. So anyway, that's my little update in my week and why I'm feeling fabulous this morning. But today I wanted to talk about intention because it's been something circling on my mind, and it all started when I really, really thought about what it is to have quality time with someone, right? I'm the type of person, right? If you don't know, quality time is one of the 5 love languages. There's words of affirmation, physical touch, quality time, gift giving or gift receiving, and then those are the 5, right? So those are the 5 love languages. And I've always been on the side of my love language to receive, right, is quality time. I love just spending time with people. I love being on FaceTime for hours. We don't even need to be doing anything. I love just being around people. And I assumed, right, naively, that just being around someone is quality time, right? Just asking, do you want to come with me to do this? Right, that's quality time. And it is. But I also thought that, this person's home now, let's do here and have this quality time. But what defines quality time is actually the intention of both parties to embark on this journey together, right? It's saying to each other, okay, on this day, can we go to the park and just sit there and just enjoy the sunshine? There's no activity really planned. it can just be the intention, the activity is that time spent together. That's the activity of its own. And it got me thinking entirely on the power of intention and how it can change the physical, right, the physical action may not change, but it changes in the way that we internalize it emotionally. So for example, when I, come home from work and my roommates are home and we're all in the kitchen, we're all cooking whatever, and we're all together, and that's nice, that is nice, but it's not going to be the same as saying to each other, okay, at 8 p.m., can we all gather in the living room and watch the show together? That is quality time. And it's going to be so much more emotionally fulfilling because we all set out to do that. And I feel like this is not even something that's limited to people or limited to quality time in specific. Intention has a huge power of altering the way that we internalize what we're doing. And I feel like that's also the biggest lesson when it comes to habit building, when it comes to fulfilling goals or trying to hold yourself accountable for things. Not a lot of the things that are good for us and the things that we want to achieve are going to be enjoyable, throughout the entire step of the process. But the thing is that when we realize our intention, it totally flips the action on its head. So for example, if you're thinking to yourself, I hate showering. And I know I'm thinking of Tana Mojo when I say this, and I think of myself. I am the type of person who cannot go and take a shower just like that, right? Or I can, right? But that's not the way that I like to shower. I like to shower by necessity. And so my necessity is after I work out. And because I work out 6 times a week, I am showering already due to that 6 times a week, right? The other day, I think I was sick. I think this was weeks ago, actually, not the other day. I was sick and I was thinking to myself, you know what would do me some real good? Taking a shower. I was like, I feel like that's what my body needs right now. I think it will help clear my sinuses. I think it will wash away the sickness, refresh me, right? My intention behind going in the shower was one of self-care, right? I went in there thinking, I want to go in there and this is going to help me. This is going to refresh me. And I'm not going in there thinking this is something I have to do because it is hygienic for me to shower. It was a total, emotionally based shower. And I'm telling you guys, it was the best shower I've ever had. I was like, wow, I'm here, I'm scrubbing, I've got one of those towels that's rough so it exfoliates my skin, and I have this eucalyptus Dr. Bronner's soap. Sorry, random tangent, but this soap is fantastic, you guys. I feel like the consumerist mill of purchasing soap for our body is something, but it's an expense that I hate having to make. I hate having to buy shower soap. I hate having to buy lotion. I hate having to buy hair cream, things like that. These things that are to upkeep, just regular things that I'm gonna have to do anyway. It's frustrating to me. But this soap is so fantastic. It's an 18-in-1 essential oil, totally natural soap, and you can use it. It's so strong. You're supposed to dilute it for body wash or face wash, whatever. You can use it in your laundry. You can use it to clean, and it's all natural. It smells so good. I use the eucalyptus one. I'm about to try the lavender one. Just placed my order. But anyway, right? This soap, I'm sorry, that wasn't the point. This shower was so fantastic. I was surrounded by the scents of eucalyptus flower, scrubbing. I almost felt like it was like a somatic relief. I'm pressing on my body. It was fantastic. And the only thing that separated it from my other showers was my intention behind it. Now, also, when I take another example, when it comes to exercise, right? I feel like exercise, especially in today's society, and I mean literally today, April 1st. Oh my God. Happy April Fool's Day. I promise I won't lie to you during this episode. I always get got. I'm honestly I'm worried to call my best friend because she always gets me every single year. And it's so embarrassing at this point. But I digress. Did you guys hear my stomach? It is rumbling. Don't worry, girl. You'll get some food soon. Exercise. I feel like today's day and age, right? April 1st, 2025, I feel like, unfortunately, skinny is back. Unfortunately. I don't know how we got here with Ozempic, with our celebrities, our favorite celebrities are all losing weight. Everybody's dropping like flies. It is like, what's going on? What happened to healthy living, healthy mindset, whatever? I mean, they're all masking it as such, but unfortunately, skinny is back in. And it's getting all the girls back on the treadmills, back on the Stairmaster. Everybody's doing cardio. And I mean, I love to see it if you've got the right intention. But this is where the perspective changes when it comes to exercise. I feel like now a lot of people either want to exercise for the pictures of, Pilates princess core, doing whatever, which I kind of love. It's enjoyable for you to dress up, and that's kind of nice. It's an enjoyable activity. That's a hobby. But when you're looking at it from the standpoint of, oh my gosh, everybody wants to look this way, I must look this way, it's almost from an anxious standpoint, you're not going to be able to get on the treadmill. You're not going to be able to focus on healthy eating and a healthier, balance of exercise in your life that is sustainable for a longer period of time if your mindset is coming from a place of fear. But if you're looking at it from a mindset, from the intention of thinking, I want to feel strong in my body. I want to help my immune system. I want to get better sleep, because exercise will do all of those things for you. When you come from that mindset of this is an action of self-care, actually, it's not for me to be perceived differently, for me to be looking differently. This activity that I choose to do several times a week has literal observable benefits in my day-to-day life, in my lifestyle, the way I feel about my body, in my skin, all of these different things. And that shift of intention is going to help you actually sustain this habit. What's another way that intention is going to shift our mindset? Intention is also going to have a powerful impact on your career. I feel like a lot of people now are shifting towards content creation because it's proven to be fruitful. And I'm not discounting that. I'm still saying that content creation is kind of a slippery slope when it comes to kind of that consumerism versus self-expression, which we discussed last week. But I feel like when it comes to our careers, when it comes to what we build ourselves towards, I feel like intention is going to really play a big role here. And I'm thinking about the just because theory. And I read this in the book You Do You, right? And the chapter is called The Tyranny of Just Because. And if you don't know, the tyranny of just because is basically when we have this phenomenon of people going from elementary school, middle school, high school, college, grad school, career, 10 years here, 10 years there, this final job, this is the destination. We stay here, retirement, that's your life. You have a few vacations a few times a year or every couple years, and that's kind of just your life. And why? Just because, right? Just because I was supposed to go to college after high school. Oh, just because I was supposed to go to graduate after college. I have this career. I'm here for 20 years. Oh, just because, this is what makes sense after my, education and all of this time that I've put towards this, and I put all my eggs in this basket. So because of that, I have to keep going, right? But that's where depression and the loss of passion for life, comes in. And last week we also talked about spontaneity and the value of spontaneity and how to have more play in our lives. But you can't have this play if you don't have the intention to have it. You can't have this balance if you don't have the intention to have this balance. If you keep leading your life in this just because mindset, you're going to find yourself 30 years down the line thinking, what have I done the past 30 years? Have I even really enjoyed that? So it's really important to think about your career and your the way that you spend your time with more intentionality. We have to remember that we have autonomy over our lives, especially in this country. We have a lot of autonomy. Just because you got a degree in literary works doesn't mean that your whole life has to lead to a newspaper outlet that you spend the next 40 years in. You can shift that into trying to do some writing maybe, or you can shift your medium from literary works into kind of media, or trying to script something for a different type of, outlet. The thing that we need to remember is that a lot of the skills that we build throughout our education, throughout our relationships, our experiences, our networking, are applicable across so many different realms of, work or play. Just because you have a degree in law doesn't mean that you have to become a lawyer. I mean, that was a bad example, because law has to do a lot with the actual rules and the laws, right? So that's a bad example. But let's say, for example, you have a degree in teaching, right? You did your whole education in teaching, and you have now since, become a professor in this specific realm. What of all of those skills that you've built through teaching, all of the knowledge that you acquire through interacting with your students, through interacting with your peers, how else can you apply that? The truth of the matter is that intention is going to help you lead your life in a more mindful and purposeful way. If you go the just because route, like we discussed, you're going to find yourself at a certain point where you're like, what have I actually done all this for? Why have I contributed to this this consumerism mill, this work mindset? Why have I contributed to this for such a long period of time? And that could be what you want to do, but why do you want to do it? The why is what is going to change our mindset from one of victimhood and thinking, how have I ended up here? Why is this my life? I hate my life. Why is this my job? I hate that I have to go in here and do this all the time. You're going to think to yourself, why have I done this? I am a victim of this circumstance. Now I don't have a chance. I can't change. I can't do anything else. But if you paid more attention, or start now paying more attention to your intention, that's funny, pay more attention to your intention of why you're doing these things. And then not only are you going to be able to kind of explain to yourself even why you're doing it, right? It could be that you really love the system. You want to be able to contribute to it so that it continues to grow, continues to prosper in this field. Your role as a desk clerk in the bookshop is going to help people have a better journey in their book buying journey. And then they can be inspired to read more, learn more. And that's kind of your purpose behind your position. It's not going to be like, wow, what a dead end job. I'm here at a bookshop and this is horrible. Your intention is going to shift that for you. And so if you're catching yourself kind of in a victimhood mindset of your current circumstances, of your current position, then how can you flip the intention behind what you're doing? And I'll even draw an example of myself here. I had to quit my, second coffee shop job that I had on Sundays. And now I'm a behavior technician, and that's my, main gig. It's only 25 hours a week, which has posed some problems financially, right? Or not problems, but, has made things tight. It was difficult to kind of come to terms with my decision, right? It was a decision to quit that job. I had done the math, and it was a decision that I made with intention. I didn't just up on my head say, I'm going to quit this job, I'm sick of it, I'm just going to quit. I thought to myself, I want more time to focus on my creative projects. I want more time to focus on the podcast, to focus on writing my book. I had these intentions that I wanted to do over the weekend, have that better work-life balance, and that was the reason, that was the why behind I quit that job. Now, when I'm in my moments of weakness, right, I'm like, wow, I only work 25 hours a week, don't I? Like, this is kind of tough. I have my student loans. like, this is stressful. This is a stressful circumstance to be in. And I can easily slip into the victimhood mindset and think to myself, oh my gosh, no job wants me. I couldn't find a full-time higher paying job. Like, wow, like this sucks, whatever. But I love my job. I genuinely enjoy what I do. It is only part-time, but that is something that I enjoy about it as well. If it becomes full-time, I will also take that. Bottom line is, I'm happy with the work that I do. I'm happy that I have more time to focus on my projects, and I am happy to have my weekends off. And I am, while stressed about the amount of free time that I have and how I could be using it to create money, to generate money, and, keep working in the service industry, that was a possibility of mine. My intentions didn't align with that. My intentions aligned with, even though a less fruitful lifestyle, then it's also allowing me to feed more into my, my purpose, what I think is my purpose. And so we have to just remember how big of a power or how big of an impact our intention has on our perception of what is around us and what our circumstance looks like. And another great thing about this is that it also helps us let go of the outcome. When you are setting out onto a specific path and you're thinking to yourself, okay, if I do 10 years here and I do 10 years here, then I should be able to make this amount at this certain point in my life. And then I'll buy a house at this point, just because that's the path I'm supposed to take. And then what if something falls through and, you don't get that house when you were supposed to? You actually don't get that second job that was supposed to lead you onto that second path. Your entire path up until this point was for this specific outcome to come out. And now that it hasn't, it's like, what's happened with my life? I have no autonomy. I'm the victim of my circumstance. This is horrible. But when you lead with your intention, that intention to help others, if you're a caretaker or, even a babysitter or even, a doctor, right? Any sort of shade of caretaking, if that is your intention and you took that intention and applied it in this babysitting path, right? That babysitting family, whatever, they say, we don't want you. They actually even leave a bad review because they were a terrible family. Now the website won't let you apply it or anything like that. Okay, my intention was actually to care for others. I was doing it in this shade, but I guess I could actually pivot and do it in this way. And maybe I can volunteer here and that could also be fulfilling. Or, maybe I could even apply for, even tutoring if I have a certain skill. And in that way, I can still help others. I can still care for others and help them in their journey. It just looks a different way because my intention was the same. And it was applied, in multiple shades. So that's the thing that is really great about this whole intention or focus on intention, is that it's going to help you let go of what that outcome looks like, because the bottom line is that your foundation remains the same. So we covered a lot. We covered how intention can help in our careers. We covered how intention can help in our habits. We covered how intention matters in quality time. I hope that you guys enjoyed, you guys. I had such a nice time chatting, as I always do, but I always feel great when I am chatting with you guys. I hope that you guys really enjoyed this episode. Please, please, please leave a review, you guys. It would mean the world. And as always, you can reach out at kalopsiapod, KALOPSIAPOD on Instagram and TikTok, and at Sydney Jotita, SYDNEYDJOTITA on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And then on YouTube, you can find other types of videos as well. And the episodes are on there, with my beautiful face and center stage. So if you guys want to see me while you listen next week, you know where to go. But please let me know your thoughts. Reach out if you have any questions or anything that you want me to discuss. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next Friday. Have a good weekend. Bye.